Hello, sports fans. It is The Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Of course, we're proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN radio network. I'm not Spence. No, I'm not. I would never try to emulate, pretend, try to steal who Spence Checketts is. He is an original. He's all by himself. I'm Scott Mitchell. Of course, I do a show here in the mornings called The Down and Dirty. So we're going to get down and dirty on a Friday here in the afternoon on your drive home. And drive means a lot of things. I found that out from Spence, which I really like. So anyways, welcome to the program. It's going to be a lot of fun today. We got Josh Furlong here, and we've got Craig Boulderjack. Of course, we've got Easton Foster with the Utah Golf Association. He's the executive director. A guy named Andy Larson's going to join us. We're going to get a lot of stuff about Big 12 Media Days as well. And you're going to get me. Whether you like it or not, you got me. You got me. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here for the whole show. Unless Porter kicks me out. Unless I say a whole lot of swear words, bad words.
I'm not going to kick you out.
Oh.
I'm not big enough to kick you out.
Wow. Wouldn't take much to kick me out today. I'll just tell you that right now.
You can stay as long as you want.
Yeah, I've been kicked before. Actually, there's nothing you can do to me that could harm me. I've been through it all, done it, seen it. I'm weathered. I'm a seasoned veteran. So so happy to have you here and so happy to be here. I really am. It's a very exciting thing. Right when I came on the air, they were showing their I don't know what this is. It's NFL Live. It's on ESPN. Oh, that's my buddy Damian Woody. We were fat buddies. We went to fat camp together. I don't know if anyone. So Damian was the two-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, and I was a no-time champion in the NFL in my 12 years. But nonetheless, I was there for 12. Anyways, we were on this reality TV show called The Biggest Loser together. They got all these old athletes that were fat and out of shape, and they put us together. And anyways, Damian and I were roommates for a hot minute, so it was a lot of fun. He's a good dude, and it's kind of fun to see him. Anyway, so I'm watching him on the television here, and they're talking about the Detroit Lions, the old Detroit Lions, and they were showing a clip of Aiden Hutchinson, who is one of their star defensive, backs, right, and or lineman who was injured last year. And he broke his tibia and fibia. Like, if you're going to break things, just break, And I don't know, Porter, if you've ever broken a bone before or broken both of your bones, or like your fibia and your tibia, they're kind of important, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a long list. I didn't go more than a year between ages 9 and 18 without breaking a bone.
Oh, so you're fragile.
It was less fragile and more like
you just extreme.
Crashing dirt bikes and the like.
You're kind of one of those, like, it's a badge of honor in that world where you gotta get like broken bones and things like, right? Is that a fair statement?
I don't like doing it. I just had a bad run. So we're at 34.
What?
34 bones.
I played 12 years in the NFL. I can't even count to 31 bones.
I know. Half of that, just to be clear, was getting hung up on a horse. So that'll do it.
Watch out for those horses.
When
you say hung up on a horse, exactly what happened to you?
So long story short, got bucked off. But on the first buck, I was knocked unconscious because I flew forward and hit my head on the horse's head.
Yeah, and the horse is going to win every time on that one.
And then I was caught up in the saddle, right? I was caught up in the stirrups and whatnot, and he just stepped on me and flung me around. And
so you got caught up in a horse.
And I was unconscious, so it kicked my ass.
Well, it's probably better that you were unconscious, right? I mean, if you can get stuck in one, it's better not to know what's happening.
Yeah.
Just find out later.
Yeah, I found out, 15, 20 minutes later. It didn't feel too good, but we're doing okay now.
Yeah. I've had some games where I felt like I was what did you say? Hooked up on a horse?
Hung up.
Hung up. Yeah. Hung up on a horse. Yeah, that was how that game went. I was hung up on a horse. I actually like this statement. I'm going to use it from now on.
There you go.
Playing in the NFL is like getting hung up on a horse.
Doesn't feel good.
The problem is you're conscious. That's the whole. Now, I will tell you, injuries, because I'm going to get back to Aiden here in a minute. Injuries are things, because I broke a bone. I've actually broken bones in games and not known that they were broken. Now, they weren't like my tibia and fibia, but they hurt. It was actually in my index finger of my throwing hand, and it was painful. And I continued to play in the game. Threw 3 touchdowns in the second half with a broken finger. Won. And it was a preseason game, by the way. It was back in my Super Bowl days when when you're trying to secure your position on the team, and the preseason is everything. And that was it was in Berlin, if you're interested. And anyway, but as I'm watching Aiden, I'm like, how do you come back from that? Like, I think I'd freak out, like with a broken bone, right? And like, I mean, what if you put too much pressure on it? You break it again. I mean, did you ever run into that with those broken? I just wonder how, because he's constantly running into offensive linemen, and so the pressure that he's got to put on those legs.
Yeah,
and he broke both of them, broke both the bones.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's always a little bit of that still remaining, right? I mean, I still feel some of those broken bones every now and then when it gets real cold, or when when you're using a lot of pressure on that leg or on that arm. You still feel those types of injuries years later. Now, I didn't get the medical treatment that I'm sure he did as a professional athlete, right? You know this as well as I do. Those guys get top-notch care in a lot of ways, especially now. Maybe it was a little more strung together with athletes tape in the 90s than it is now.
Right.
But there's always going to be something in the back of your mind, at least. Some guys are able to really, really get over that, and sometimes their bodies allow them to. But it's kind of case-by-case basis. We've seen guys that have lesser injuries and never are the same again. Scott, I think when Dak Prescott, I mean, Cam had some bad ones. When Dak Prescott went down with that leg injury, I was like, I think we kind of already seen his ceiling, but now we definitely have. And I think that's,
well, you think of
people
Alex,
are starting to catch on.
You think of Alex Smith. I guess that's what I think of everyone who has that kind of injury. It's like,
yeah, Alex, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And Alex was tough and came back, and I'm not sure he should have. But
cool story though.
It's a great story. And but it just, I don't know. I just saw him running, and I'm like, whew. I think in the back of my mind, I think I'd probably be thinking about it. And you can't when you play. You can't think about anything other than, what's my job? What do I have to do right here? So I thought that was fascinating. A lot of other fascinating things here. This is kind of a fun segment where we're just kind of there's further follow-up on this whole NFLPA executive director and how because people are like, and they talk, Lloyd Howell, of course, signed $3.5 million deal a year ago, and he represents a firm that actually is looking for investors into NFL franchises. So he's working both sides of the fence. And it came up again today because it's like I just when I read this, I just said, this is ridiculous. Like, how could you ever have someone doing this? And he either needs to resign or he needs to step back from his other duties that are a conflict. You go see an attorney, and the first thing the attorney says is, I need to make sure I have no conflict of interest. That we as a firm don't represent the other side or the issue of this or whatever. And that's the first thing they look at, and should have been in this case. But one of the things that came out, and this is a fascinating thing, the NFL had an arbitrator try to determine if they were colluding. And they were colluding to basically tell all the owners, no fully guaranteed contracts. Don't do a dumb thing like the Cleveland Browns did and fully guaranteed contracts. We can't set this precedent in our league. And so there was a whole arbitration hearing on whether the NFL colluded and said no. And one of the players who potentially was impacted by that was Lamar Jackson. So if you were a team and you said, okay, who would you rather have, Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson? And I think everyone would say, well, Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, if you're going to give a fully guaranteed contract, you would probably give it to him over Deshaun Watson. So anyways, there was the potential of this having that option for Lamar Jackson, but the NFL kind of poo-pooed it supposedly. But they were found by an arbitrator that wasn't the case. So and it's really hard to kind of prove that anyways. But I guarantee you the NFL did it. But the point about it was just completely suppressed. No one knew about this. And then it's just come out recently, and that was one of those concerns was your NFLPA president, executive director, should be all over something like this. They should be barking to the moon that, the NFL is colluding, and they're not, and they're saying, hey, don't offer fully guaranteed contracts to players. And it hurts the players. But the point is that there's already multiple cases or examples where this could be deemed like a conflict of interest. Like your president should have known this and he didn't. Why didn't he know it? And so that just causes concern. It's just a bad thing. Anyway, so that's a little follow-up on that from yesterday. I thought that was interesting. Now, if you were capable, would you want to go play in the Olympics? Would you want to, as an NFL player? I've actually asked some of my NFL friends. Some of them said no. Some of them said no. I don't want to go. I don't want to go into the Olympics. I don't want to be on a flag football team. I want to. That's for that's not real football. And the NFL is really behind this, and they're really behind it because they feel that they really need to grow the interest in the league, and they feel they can do that through flag football. It's how they play the Pro Bowl now. Maybe in a couple of years, maybe NFL games will just be flag football games. I mean, who knows? I don't know that that's the right move. I don't know if it's a good move. I don't know anything. I know some NFL players go, no, I'm not gonna go play on a flag football team in the Olympics. Now, me personally, I would say absolutely, I would go and do that. I don't know, Porter. Did you have any interest in playing flag football in the Olympics? If
why
you
not?
had to, I mean, would you be okay winning a gold medal in flag football, or is that beneath you?
Scott, the intramurals at a certain Southern Utah University and University of Utah weren't beneath me, so I would very much go to the Olympics.
Yeah,
I've competed at the Utah Summer Games enough. Flag football at the actual Olympics, of course.
Now, one of the things that I read that I thought was fascinating is they have designated positions. So you have quarterback, running back, wide receiver. You have a rusher and a defensive back. And so someone in ESPN wrote an article here, Matt Bowen, about who he would pick on the team. And I thought this was interesting. So of all the quarterbacks now you have to realize that the Olympics is coming up in, was it 28?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a few years. It's 3 years down the road. But his pick for quarterback is Jaden Daniels. You like that pick?
Honestly, for flag football, for like a 7-on-7 type feel, I don't hate it at all. But again, as you said, we're 3 years away.
Right, and yeah, that's the kind of thing. So it's like you're going off of his rookie year, and it's like, what if he's a bust, and in 3 years he's like RG3?
I was about to say, what if it's exactly like that guy?
Yeah, I mean, now you say, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And then you go, well, what about Lamar Jackson? And you go, well, Lamar Jackson in 3 years, maybe he's not quite Lamar Jackson that he is right now. You can't. You can actually rush. You can rush as a quarterback if you. So they do have rushing in the game. Like you can actually hand off the ball. And so the running back was Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions. Is that the very best running back? I mean, why not have Saquon?
I was gonna say
Saquon's still gonna be good in 3 years.
He is. In this one, like you're not picking up blockers. You're not.
No.
You're not running between the tackles. So I understand maybe going with a back that's not your thick, well-built Saquon guy, a quick speedster on the outside. You got to just have a a running back who is multifaceted, really. Honestly, at that point, hand it off to him. He can do his thing, but also can catch because that's mostly what you're going to be doing.
So you think of like an Alvin Kamara,
right?
But where is he in 3 years? How about a
Marshall Falk would have been the best flag football running back
like
we could
Hall of
think
Fame,
of.
Hall of Fame flag football,
right?
Marshall Falk, yeah. Wide receiver, he has got Justin Jefferson and Jeremiah Smith, who's at Ohio State, who is a heck of a player. He's going to be a top 2-3 pick in the draft next year, I'm sure. He's really good. And guess who they have as the center? Jamar Chase.
Oh,
because
you can,
okay. Yeah. So it's not like you're getting a Jason Kelsey or anything. You're getting
I thought maybe there'd be some tight ends there, but okay.
No. Now how about Micah Parsons? But so you have a rusher, right? Yeah, I'm getting Max Crosby. Don't you think you get Max Crosby?
I don't know if I'm going to get defensive linemen. To be fair, Scott, to the big boys. In this, I'm getting the quickest guy. You don't have to bring anyone down. You're pulling a flag. I'm getting guys that have good coordination and are small and fast. I might get corners to be my rushers, just from a flag football perspective.
Okay, so Travis Hunter made the team.
There you go. Tyrann Mathieu might be my rusher instead of my corner. If we're getting creative here.
Well, and they had Patrick Surtain was the other one, so kind of a similar type of thing. Yeah. So Travis Hunter could be an interesting pick. I think that could be a very interesting pick. I just know this, that I would be on the flag football team. I mean, I want to be on it. I don't think they'd pick me. They should, but they won't. One of the funnest things I ever did, they had the alumni flag football game at the University of Utah. I participated many years, and it was a lot of fun. But not so much now.
You retired?
They don't do the game anymore. They had COVID, and COVID kind of threw everything off. And they were like, oh, hey, we should do that. The problem they've run into is they don't have enough quarterbacks. Like, if you think of Utah, it's not known as pushing out quarterbacks.
Come on, we'll get you and Jordan Wynn. Travis Wilson's around every once in a while.
Yeah. Like I said,
out there.
You got to go way back for me. I'm not a spring chicken anymore.
We'll get someone to block for you.
You need multiple people. All right. How about Bo Nix? Bo Nix would be a good player. Maybe. I don't know. See what happens. He may be out of the league in 3 years. Who knows? Well, let's take a break. We'll take a break. And I think we got none other than who do we got? Josh Furlong?
Yes,
he's the Ute insider, right? He knows everything Utah in the world.
Little Big 12 Media Day reaction.
I got a lot of questions for Josh, so it'll be fun. All right, this is the Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 792.1 FM. We'll be back in a second. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It's The Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. I am not Spence, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Did you?
Yeah, made me smarter, but it didn't make me Spence. So, Scott Mitchell here. Of course, I do a show here on ESPN 792.1 FM in the mornings, 10 to 11, the Down and Dirty. Love to have you tune in, so tune in. If not, it's okay. You can also go to the podcast version of all this stuff. Get us wherever, whenever you want. Anyways, welcome to the show. It's Friday. We're going to have fun. We're having fun. We've decided that we would go and play in the Olympics in flag football. There's some people, I know them, well-known people in sport. They're like, how dare you? We would never, ever, ever, ever go do that. That was a desecration of the great game of football, flag football. It's wrong. Very wrong. I don't know. If I had a chance to go to the Olympics, I would go to the Olympics. Now, the thing about the flag football and the Olympics thing, I've been thinking about this. They better win. Like, if they field the team, they better win. And I understand flag football is a little different deal than just NFL football. It's not the same thing. And I think they actually practice for like a year, and you have to qualify. So this is a real commitment. It's a real deal. It's not just, hey, we're the NFL guys. We show up and win a medal. And I think that's what everyone thinks. I think they think it's like basketball. Are there any other sports that the U.S. just absolutely they have to win, or it's an embarrassment in the Olympics?
I guess if you were playing baseball, you'd probably want to win that one.
Yeah. Those Dominican, man, those are tough though. So those Central American guys.
It's always either some Europeans or Americans for golf.
I mean, like hockey, kind of. It's. I mean, is hockey like it's not an American thing. We're not expected to win hockey.
Canada, Russia mostly win.
Yeah. Is it all the sprinting stuff? Shouldn't we win all the sprinting stuff?
We do well in a lot of that.
Isn't it a discipline? Wasn't Usain Bolt when he was like, I don't know, he was from Jamaica.
Yeah, it's usually like a few folks from Jamaica, a few Americans that are competing year round.
We don't win like the long distance race. Those are all the Ethiopians, right? We don't win those.
Sometimes.
Do we win sometimes?
BYU's got a really good cross country program.
Are they going to win
at elevation here too?
Are they going to win the Olympics then? They compete for that?
There was actually a guy that is Park City fella who just broke a bunch of long distance records, mile wise. So,
all right,
training at elevation, Scott.
Good to know. Hey, Josh Furlong is on the phone, and I'm so happy because I have lots of questions for Josh. Of course, he is with KSL.com sports. And anyways, Josh, how are you today? Welcome to the show. You ready to answer some questions? I got some questions for you, buddy.
Oh, I'm ready to chat, Scott. So let's talk some stuff.
All right, let's do it. So the first thing, I know we got Big 12 media days, all that stuff. Blah, blah, blah. We'll get to that. We'll get to the season, all that. But recruiting's kind of happening right now, right? This is kind of a lot of official visits, a lot of guys coming on campus. I get bits and pieces. I have a hard time finding what's real and what's not real. So where is Utah on its recruiting class for this year? What's some of the big news coming out of there from that?
Yeah, so this recruiting class, it starts out slow. I mean, Utah's always kind of been that way. They start out slow and gear up at the latter part of the year as they get into the early signing day. But Utah's currently at 17 commits. They're expecting their 18th commit here soon. If they get that kid, it's the number one kid in the state of Utah in Celestia Moa. And that would put them as a top 30 class in the country, which is, not bad considering, what they've been going through the last 2 years, especially last year. I think a lot of people were expecting them to take a big dip.
Yeah.
But, this coaching staff has done a really good job of putting themselves out there, really trying to make this a a welcoming place and showing that they still have NFL potential. So they're in a good spot. I mean, I'm really fascinated to kind of see how this all develops moving forward with the balance of how many kids you take in the, from freshmen and trying to mature them through your program versus just bringing in kids as transfers. So Utah's still kind of pretty, I wouldn't call it heavy in the recruiting front. But they definitely, are competitive and they're trying to do their best while still focusing on the transfer portal. And I'm curious to see if that changes, but that's kind of where it is right now.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Like, because I know that's changed. That they're holding out opportunities for transfers and guys in the portal. So, is there any data so far that's shown that it's better, or if they had some success, kind of both directions? Because I would think it would be very risky in today's world where you recruit a kid out of high school, he's in your program, he's there for a year or two, you're really developing, and then all of a sudden he starts to play, and then you just lose him, and you don't reap all the benefit of spending that time and energy and resources on that player. I know when free agency started in the NFL, that was kind of what was a little frustrating for teams. So is there any data? Is there anything to look back on yet that, like, it is a better idea to go in the portal as opposed to developing players?
Well, I think it can be a use case, right? Like, I think there's some places where you could easily say that if a guy had stayed, he'd probably have a better shot. But it's so hard to know. I mean, majority of the guys that are going into the portal are depth pieces or lower level kids that are just trying to find a spot to play. So in some instances, this is a great opportunity, right? Like if maybe you made a wrong fit out of your freshman season and you either drop down to the group of five or you just go to another program that allows you to work. It happened. I mean, Bo Nix is a great example of that, or even Michael Penix Jr. a couple of years ago. These guys both just were kind of not really doing much. They were sputtering in where they were at. A lot of expectations heaped on them and just weren't living up to it. And then they make a transfer, and suddenly, it was a lateral move in terms of starting positions, right? They had a starting role where they were at, and it completely unlocked this talent and turned them into these NFL guys. So I think there's potential. I will say quarterback is probably where the transfer portal is the best, just simply because there's so many talented quarterbacks out there, and they're all buried behind one guy, right? I mean, this obviously playing that position, that there's a lot of talent out there, and some teams have far more than others. But if you can distribute that, now you've got a few more teams that have some guys. And so I think quarterback-wise, it is a great benefit. Outside of that, if you can get the right fit, if you can get a guy to mature through a system and get in there and understand all the nuances of that program, I think that's probably the best case if everything works well. Just simply because there's consistency, teams seem to do better that way. But we're in an age now where programs are turning over their rosters, 30, 40, 50 guys at a time, and trying to retool it to make quick jumps. And it works for some. It's not quite as efficient for others, but it's a really fascinating thing to see how these coaches manage it. But in this age now, you can turn over a roster so much better. I mean, you can look at Utah, for example. Utah, I would say, is a better team on paper than they were last year based on kind of the complementary players that they have and what they're able to do. So it goes both ways. I don't know that there's one set answer, but I think it's just a use case situation that, if you utilize it properly, I think it can have its benefit.
Coach Prime at Big 12 Media Days talked a lot about a lot of things, but he did mention, he goes, how can a guy get an offer and he's not even in the transfer portal? And you look at Texas Tech and they, on day one of when these players could enter the portal, boy, they had them all lined up. And so there has to be some kind of communication going on. Do you get a sense that that's happening? Is there a way to fix that? Because I know that was kind of a concern with Coach Prime, and everyone's talking about commissions and really overseeing NIL opportunities. This communication without a player being in the portal, it's got to be a real thing. And if anyone tells me it's not, I know they're lying. But how do you police something like that? And is it something they can police?
Yeah, the policing side of it is going to be always the toughest, right? I mean, I think they're trying their best to get to that spot where there is a little bit more consistency. You're seeing that a little bit more with NIL. Maybe that pushes people to do things under the table again. I don't know. But, the hard part here is there's just so many entry points to get to these athletes now, whether it be past coaches talking to them or these, pseudo agents or collectives. There's just so many ways to do that. And some of those you can't really consider it a school tampering. If a collective came after a kid and said, hey, we want you, by extension, they're essentially not part of the university unless they are a university-run collective. And so, they can claim that there's no tampering and there's none of this going on, when in reality, there could be, backdoor conversations where, the coaches pretend to be oblivious to this. But it's tough, right? Like, barring there being some sort of like CBA or some other things where these agents are certified, I don't know that anything's going to change. I think there's just college sports right now is such a wild, wild west, and they're just barely trying to figure out the NIL part of it, let alone the transfer portal part of it. Now you've got to figure out the agents, you've got to figure out the collectives, you've got to figure out all these different things, and nobody really has an answer. And there's also not really any teeth behind it because everything that gets put out there is being sued left and right. And so I don't know, right? Like, I mean, there has to be some sort of enforcement arm that the leagues enforce, but until that happens, and it's not there yet, it's still going to be the Wild West. There's still going to be teams that are going to communicate to other programs or other programs' players, and there's not much you can do about it unless that program wants to go out there and, let's say, like Wisconsin, file a lawsuit and say, hey, you were tampering with them before it happens. The problem is you got to air out your dirty laundry too if that's going to be the case.
I think the way to do it is they got to sue the Big Ten and the SEC. Someone has to say these guys are hindering our ability to maximize their violating antitrust laws. They're colluding. They're doing all kinds of things. They're lining their pockets. I think, and I think it'll happen. So will anything come of it? No, but at least you're going to get their attention, and you want to bring them to the table, because I think the way this solution happens is all these major conferences have to come together and reach some kind of management and some kind of operating system with how college football is that's across the board, universal and fair to everyone. Otherwise, it's never going to end. So, okay, so Big 12 Media Days, it's in the books. Where is the health of the conference? What was your take on things? How did you feel about where the Big 12 is, and from your viewing of Big 12 Media Days?
Yeah, it was interesting this year as opposed to last year, just simply because it felt like there was much more stability, right? The Big 12 feels like it's in a stable place. It feels like they're all kind of rowing in the same way. Everybody's, has shaken off their past conferences or whatever damage or harm that was done, and now everybody's kind of in the same way. You heard a lot of coaches talking about how great of a commissioner Brett Yormark is and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that are just platitudes that you give. But at the same time, I think the conference feels like it's in a good space because they have so many teams that can compete. Brett Yormark weighs in heavily on that, saying that this is the deepest conference in college football. Whether you want to agree with that or not, the SEC and the Big Ten clearly have a lot of talented teams. Are they that deep? Who knows? But I think they feel like that they can be competitive in this space while still recognizing that there's so much more to go. There's a lot of parity, and they want to be able to praise that while also recognizing that they need, 1, 2, 3 teams that need to be these elite teams, or else the Big 12 gets left behind. So I think as it stands, you only feel comfortable as much as where you're at. And I think that's where they feel. They feel like they've got a comforting standing right now. The things around them have kind of settled. You don't have a Big Ten and the SEC that are, fully trying to attack you right now, but still recognizing that there's a lot to come. So I think, I think they like where they're at. They like what's going on with this conference. It's just, how long can that stay and what can that mean? But you do have big spenders. I mean, Texas Tech, BYU, some of these other programs that are throwing a lot of money around, they feel like they can compete. It's just a question of, can any of these teams be elite and contend with the tops of college football?
So you mentioned BYU and throwing some money around, and you have kind of a mindset with a guy like Ryan Smith, and Ryan Smith basically says, "Look, we got a shot to be relevant on a national stage." He did it in basketball at BYU. It feels like maybe something's happening in the football program there. Um, should the Utes be concerned by this? Should they be concerned that the team down south is a little maybe stepping ahead of them in the financial department?
I'd say yes and no. I think BYU has, I don't want to call it an easy time, but the fact that they were willing to spend high dollars for some of these top players in basketball, with AJ DeBanza being kind of that top guy, it's lends itself immediately to great publicity. So now, anytime a player commits there, instantly people think that it's all about the money, and it may or may not, right? Like the unfortunate thing is we don't know the financials of all these. But now that they've just created an incredible amount of good press for them, they can use that, right? They don't even have to offer top dollars. But now that you think that you're getting that, anybody else thinks that it's going to be top dollar. That's where Utah's going to have a problem. If they're not willing to spend on some of these athletes and kind of showcase their ability to do that, it's so much harder to get talent. That's not to say that they can't. They've always prided themselves on finding the guys that have been overlooked, or the diamond in the rough type players, and getting them to max out at their potential. But it's a new era where you do have to play some of this game. Anymore, this is a very, these athletic departments have to have a marketing department to figure out how to get them out there, how to get these recruits to understand who they are. And so some of it may be smoke and mirrors, right? And those smoke and mirrors don't get brought up if you're winning, because teams are just fine. I'm winning. Doesn't matter that I'm not making the money that I thought I was going to get. But if it starts going wrong, then you're going to start hearing complaints, and you're going to start seeing people transfer, and then that bad publicity comes. So right now it's working for BYU, and I don't, foresee anything changing necessarily. But I think you have to walk a fine line of, if you're paying out money, you have to be you kind of have to do that in a way that's going to keep everybody happy. And if you're not, there's going to start to be some cracks there, and it's going to cause some problems. So, Utah has to remain competitive in there. They need to be able to be the ones that are going to go fight for some of these players, and they have. I mean, they get 5-star guys coming in and looking at them, so it's not that guys are overlooking them, but you have to be able to be in those conversations, or else, soon, 5 years from now, you very well may be looking at where did we go and how do we get there, and you're kind of stuck.
Very interesting. Hey, this is The Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 791 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Spence today. We're talking with Josh Furlong with KSL.com sports, and talking about the Utes. So, okay. Coach Whittingham at Big 12 Media Day said that Cody Barton and Smith Soden are potentially going to have reps offensively. Is this a panic move? Is this just being a smart move? What's your take on one, that he was so blatant about saying it, and two is what does it really mean?
Yeah, I think Kyle is being a little bit more open with some things. I mean, there's a lot of things that he likes to hold close to the vest, but I think when he finds talent, he wants to utilize it. So I don't necessarily see this as a bad thing, and the reason I don't see it as a bad thing is because Lander specifically has been working on the offensive side of the ball periodically over the last few years. So, there's always been something that they want to use him in there. He was obviously a talented athlete at the high school level and could play on the offensive side of the ball. So it's not too far out of the realm that he can do it. Smith Snowden, similar guy, athletic. They can just put him wherever they need to, and it provides some intrigue. It allows these teams to not really scheme it. You saw it with Sione Vaki, that the first time that they put him on the offensive side of the ball, USC had no idea what to do with him, right? I mean, they had a game before that they could have watched some film, but it caused some frustrations because you didn't know what to do with him. So I think there's some of that where Utah is just kind of feeling confident in itself that they can even bring in some of these defensive guys and they can make it work with this system that Jason Beck is running, and it's not as complicated as maybe what Andy Ludwig is doing. So I understand some people kind of get worried about it, that it's like, oh, Utah's not going to have any athletes on that side of the ball. But I think it's far more likely that this is Utah just trying to maximize its athletes. Look, I don't think you're going to see either one of these players that much, if at all, this year. And if you do, great. That means good things. But I think in the era of the Travis Hunters, there's now much more of an willingness from coaches to say, hey, yeah, let's try both sides of the ball. If a guy can do it, why not maximize his potential on both sides?
Okay. Devin Dampier, of course, he was named the newcomer in the conference. They're not picking champions, but they are picking newcomers. Did they get this one right?
With him as the newcomer,
yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, like it's hard to parade guys before they've actually done anything, right? Like,
sure, yeah.
It's one of the hardest things that, like, watching, people in my industry just suddenly celebrate a player because of maybe a glimmer of what he's able to do is tough, right? And if these guys are reading into those expectations, it's tough to live up to that. But at the same time, you kind of have to look at what's going on and kind of see the landscape around him. And I think the optimism and what Devin Dampier can bring is very much so the type of player that could be a game changer in the Big 12. If Brett Yormark wants a star player, and you want to get off of that Travis Hunter hype, not get off of it, but maintain that hype that you built up for Travis Hunter, you need dynamic, athletic players that can do it. And, Devin Dampier absolutely can be that guy. He's not the only one in the league by any means, but I think he has the potential where you can see him be kind of like a Jaden Daniels type player, where if he can make the right strides, he could absolutely be a Heisman type candidate. I don't know that he's there yet. I don't know that Utah has that, but I think based on what he was able to do at New Mexico, if he can replicate that with an even better team, why can't he be in that conversation? And so I think it's a good situation. I don't know of any other player that would probably get as much press as a quarterback. And so Devin Dampier feels like the most natural, and I think Utah feels confident that he could be there.
I just thought of something when you were talking, and we were talking about Dampier and the expectation, right? I think if he would have still been at New Mexico, there would have been a high expectation for him, and I think it would have been maybe harder to live up to that expectation. A lot of times, I think of Caleb Williams winning the Heisman Trophy, and the next year he just didn't quite have the same year, and there was a higher expectation for him. But I think one of the things that helps Devin to kind of get away from that is that he's not at New Mexico, that he's in a new situation now. He's got the luxury of being in the same system with the same coach, but he's kind of in I still have to prove myself mode. And I think that gives that little extra incentive to be locked in and maybe not resting on your laurels, so to speak. And it feels like he's still got a lot to prove, and got a lot to prove in a different division of football and in a different team. And so I think that's one of those things that maybe no one would ever say, but could certainly factor into his having a productive year. Because if Devin Dampier has a really good year, this football team will do well and compete for a championship. Okay, so outside of the quarterback position, tell me which position group and maybe player. So the position group, maybe player on defense, and the same on offense that really has to play well for this Utah football team this year.
Ooh, let's start with offense. I'm going to gloss over offensive line because I feel like that's a given, and we kind of expect that. So, that obviously has to do well. But looking outside of that, I'm going to go with running back. And it's the position that I don't know that has been talked about a ton since Utah retooled its offense. Obviously, you have Wayshawn Parker, you've got Nakari Rogers, you've got some other guys that are coming in. But this offense is going to be very heavy run game. And if they can't get anything going, you've got Devin, and Devin's going to be a major factor of that. But I think you've got to be able to establish the run in a consistent way that isn't the way that Utah's done it the last few years. There hasn't really Utah's been effective in the run game, but it hasn't been to the level that Kyle Whittingham would want. And I think with Jason Beck wanting to emphasize the run first, they have to hit. Obviously, the wide receivers have to provide something. We saw that last year, that if you couldn't get the ball out to the wide receivers, it wasn't going to work. But I think as long as the run game can be effective, and I think it will with Devin Dampier and kind of the wrinkles that they're going to throw into this, I think this offense is going to be fine. Whether the wide receivers are good or not, I think that's okay. Defensively, I think it's going to come down to, I kind of crazy to think this, but maybe defensive tackles, defensive ends, but just the whole defensive line. If they can be effective, I think Utah's got a good chance. They've got to be able to create some more havoc plays. They've got to get in that backfield. The last few years have just not been as effective as they've wanted, but they've got the pieces everywhere else to be able to be consistent. Their secondary, it has some questions in one position, but at the same time, I think they've got consistency. Linebackers, you're bringing in a lot of guys that are proven commodities. Defensive line is just more a little lack of experience or a little less time, and I think if they can do it, they're going to be fine. So there's a lot less doubt on the defensive side of the ball, but I think it's more taking that next step. And I think for the defensive line, if they can do that, I think this Utah team could be really dynamic.
Well, the conference didn't pick a preseason champ, but I'm going to ask you to pick one. Who do you think wins the conference this year?
Ooh, I think if we're looking at teams that have the least questions surrounding them, mine is probably going to lead to Baylor and Arizona State.
Ooh.
Now, that's not to say that these two will be the best teams. I just think they have an easier path just simply because they're bringing back a lot of talent. They've got good quarterback play. They've done it before, even though Baylor wasn't as good last year until later part in the season. But those are the two teams that I think kind of have the edge, just based on what they've got coming back. They have less questions than most teams. So that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. But honestly, you could throw 4, 5, 6 more teams in there, and I think you'd be absolutely right.
Cool stuff. Appreciate your time, Josh. Hope you have a great weekend, and thank you so much for tuning in with us. I really enjoyed this. Great stuff.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
All righty, there you have it. Josh Furlong with KSL.com Sports, and he had some really good insight. I liked a lot of what he said. I believe Mr. Craig Bowlerjack is around the corner. We're going to take a little break here. This is The Drive with Spence Checketts, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It is The Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN radio network. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Spence today and yesterday. It's Friday. It's Fun Friday. It's Freaky Friday. It's Football Friday. It's all of the above and so much more. Right now, with summer on the way, by the way, it is the perfect time to be introducing our newest partner on ESPN Sports Network, Utah Elite Services, a Utah-grown asphalt maintenance and concrete repair company. We've seen rain, snow, wind, and now heat. Your concrete has been through a lot. See any cracks, extreme damage that needs to be fixed? Give Utah Elite Services a call. Corey's team can take care of crack sealing, coating, striping, asphalt overlays, complete tear-outs, and replacement of your concrete. Don't let the concrete outside of your home, condo, or even business be a sore thumb. Get it fixed with Utah Elite Services. Give Utah Elite Services a call for a no-cost, no-obligation estimate at 801-821-8670. That's 801-821-8670. All right, it's the 3 o'clock hour, and it is time for none other than the voice of Utah Jazz basketball, Craig Bolerjack. He joins the show. Bowler, how you doing? Welcome to the program.
Hey, Scott. Hey, bud. Good to talk to you. And you're driving the ship today. Way to go.
Driving the ship, driving it crazy, driving it into the dirt. But hey, I think maybe we could drive it to Wendover. How is Wendover these days? A little bird asked me to ask you that question.
Oh yeah, I like to drop in and just have fun for a day and then leave. But it's fun. It's a good drive. I like driving. I like to get out there on the desert and just kind of look around, and it's a good time, man. Didn't do that well, but it's fun.
Do you ever do well?
Do
you ever?
No
does
ever
any,
win.
Of course not.
No. That's why they're open.
I was trying to get a bus once, like a charter bus, and I called the charter bus company, and they said, "Good luck." Like, we don't have any. We have a bus leaving about every 20 minutes from the parking lot at I was living in Utah County at the time, from the University Mall to Wendover, like every 20 minutes. We're booked up. We don't have room for you, so good luck on your tour bus. But apparently, a lot of folks head to Wendover. It's a thing.
Oh yeah, it's close, a little closer than Las Vegas. But yeah, it's fun. It's close, and it's kind of like the drop of the hat. You think, hey, what are you doing? Let's go. So it's fun.
I have to ask you, of course, sadly, the passing of Frank Layden. He was such a legendary coach and figure here with the Utah Jazz, and he passed away yesterday or the other day, and had a chance to talk to Big T, Thurl Bailey, and get kind of some of his thoughts. I'd love to hear kind of your feelings and thoughts about Coach Frank Layden.
Oh, Scott, I tell you, he's going to be missed. I mean, 93 years of a great life. The first thing that comes to mind, honestly, is just the person. I mean, just a great individual who did a lot for Utah, Salt Lake City, and the region. I can't overplay that. I mean, I saw things and, witnessed over the last, 30 plus years of just kindness, but also, a fun guy. I mean, a comedian, his rough, gruff voice. I mean, so easy to impersonate. I chuckle every time I think about him. Talking about, hey, what's going on, and all the old Brooklyn accent. But you know what? I think you got to start. Also just with the beginning of the Jazz. I mean, without him, I'm not sure, Scott, and I'm sure Big T, probably echo the same thing. But I got here in '85. And, the Jazz were surviving, and then Larry came in and did his, financial magic to really solidify this franchise through the Millers and now Ryan and Ashley Smith. But, without Frank, I don't know where the Jazz would be. Maybe Minnesota, maybe the Timberwolves. I mean, wherever it was, there was options. But Frank was able to, I think, take the stress and the pressure away from the franchise and put it on himself. The most iconic line, as you probably have heard, is, hey, Frank, what time's the game? In those early days, and Frank would whistle out, what time can you be here? And that's just the humor that he had to have just for this franchise to take hold at, at the Salt Palace. And, he gave up the job to Jerry, which took the franchise to another level, but always stayed connected. And a gentleman, a heart of gold, and did so many things that I think sometimes went probably, not in the news or just because that's the way he wanted it. Can I share a story real quick?
Absolutely. Please. No, this is great.
Wes Ruff over at ABC4, called me the other night and we had a long talk and I've got my stories, he's got his, but I think this is typical Frank. They're out on a golf course at a fundraiser. Lavelle and Mac and all those guys were so tight and did so many good things for Salt Lake and the community. But Frank's out on the golf course and Wes is riding alongside, and there's a little boy out there selling golf balls, and Frank pulls up and says, "Hey, how much? How many golf balls you got?" And he goes, "I got about 40 of them, coach, and they're like 25 or 40 cents a piece." And he goes, "Give them all to me." And so he gave him a $100 bill, Wes witnessed. And then he said, "You know what? Second thought, just keep the golf balls and sell them to somebody else." And the kid took, saved the 100.
Wow.
Obviously, Frank just made the donation for fun.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the kid, whoever that may be today, probably still remembers that moment of just a kind-hearted thing to help a kid out on the summer. He's out there picking up loose golf balls. But that's just Frank. He was a comedian. He probably could have hosted his own show or a headliner out in Vegas. I mean, if Rodney Dangerfield and Burns could do it, I'm guessing that Frank could go out there. He had a line, a joke for everything, but also still had just a heart of gold. And he's going to be missed. But he lived a beautiful life, and I hope Jazz fans appreciate really, Scott, what he did. Just in those early days, he's really the foundation piece of, I think, the Jazz and what they are today.
Yeah, I grew up here and, of course, always been a Utah Jazz fan and witnessed a lot of what you're talking about. And Coach Layden, and, he just really was from such a different universe, and coming to Utah.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what that was like. But he just owned it, and he just embraced it, and he just really made people from all different walks of life, different philosophies, different, just everything. He just everyone was a friend, and he had this mission. He had this passion for Utah Jazz basketball, and really the passion was to own it in Utah and really sell it to Utah. He wasn't like, let's go somewhere else that might be more appealing. He's just like, hey, we're here. We're going to own it, and the Utah Jazz are going to be a part of this culture, and he really was a big part of that. One of the things I questioned Thoreau about, I was like, so how did you know when he was serious and he was joking? I mean, because he was a very successful coach, but I just got coached by Coach Shula, who didn't know a joke if it jumped up and bit him. He was always intense and serious. So you always knew where you stood with Coach Shula. I'd have a hard time with Coach Layden. Because I'd be laughing all the time. I don't know. But he was very competitive as a coach.
Yeah. I saw that in 1988 when the Jazz were in a battle with the Lakers in the playoffs and lost Game 7. Went back into the locker room to try to get him to come out and talk, and it was a pretty gruff Frank Layden at the time. I mean, he was competitive, and it was going to be on his terms. It wasn't like he wasn't appeasing the media by any means, and that was part of Frank too. You just hit it. I mean, really well said, Scott, and just who he was. He played at Niagara, coached, got a chance with Hubie Brown. The Jazz bring him on to direct the transition, with Nsalki as the head coach. But man, there's something that burned. And you made a great point. He told me many times that, hey, look, I'm from Brooklyn. I love the East, and that's kind of my home. But he embraced Salt Lake, as his home. We see people come and go, and coaches leave, and some people don't put roots down. But Frank had options. But there was something. You hit something really of an important fact here about Frank. There was something he felt, sensed, or maybe on a mission just to, I think, embrace a lot of people to say, hey, look, maybe there is some differences here in the state. But he embraced that. As a Catholic, he always joked about, among Mormons. But you know what? That was a goal. He wanted everybody to just get along. And I thought he was a great voice to be able to bring people together. And it was so evident when he stood up on the podium at fundraisers and could just joke about anything, and people got laughed about it. And then you realize, what, we're really not that different. And I think that was Frank's message as well. A great man, had a great family. Still, with Barbara, God bless, and I got to know Scotty really well in his time with the Jazz and beyond. And it's a rough time, but tomorrow we'll celebrate his life, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and it definitely should be a celebration. I would like to meet the person who's not a friend of Frank Layden. I would venture to say that there's probably not a soul on this earth that actually doesn't like Frank Layden. And if there is, I'd like to meet him, because he was a special person, and I had some interaction with him, a decent amount, and he was always good to me, and just really made me feel like I was important, I was valued, and he was just super funny.
That's who he was. He made everybody just feel comfortable, and with a little chuckle or a quick little joke, and all of a sudden what he was able to do, Scott, just if there was any tension or just like, hey, I don't know who you are, he'd break it, and all of a sudden you got an automatic friend right there. That's Frank.
So switching gears here a little bit, of course, it's the summertime, and you and Big T got to broadcast all the games in the Salt Lake City version of Summer League basketball in the NBA. Just in general, before we get into kind of some of the Jazz stuff, you saw a lot of players, a lot of teams. What really stood out to you in your time broadcasting those games?
Well, for the Jazz, Scott, I got to be honest. I've just got an instant feel that the group that the Jazz put on the floor, most of last year's rookies, and of course Bryce Sensabaugh, who went crazy with 37 and set a new Salt Lake City Summer League scoring record. I just thought the whole feeling and the whole feel of the bench and the floor was like, you know what, we've been here. And Scott, I'm sure you can relate to that from your rookie year to your second or your third. And all of a sudden it doesn't seem, like I sense that they felt like, hey, I belong here. Yeah. And that's a big step. And that was my first sense, especially with Sensabaugh in his third. And, of course, Isaiah Collier has kind of they're looking for that, little tough kind of that dog mentality. And, he definitely brings that. Filipowski looks stronger. Cody Williams still has, work to do, but still making strides. And he was wide-eyed last year, and the stress and the pressure. Scott, you've been down that road, drafted and number 10 pick. Cody, you can relate, right?
Right.
And
totally.
Everybody's young.
Look,
now.
my rookie year,
everybody's
Craig,
young.
I know. I couldn't stand up straight my rookie year. Just the thought of playing is like But I totally get it.
But you know what? You've been through college, and these guys, which I think sometimes is a detriment, but obviously they're going to try to franchises draft them with hope of development. But at 18 and 19, Cooper Flagg's on display last night, and Bronny James in a big highlighted national televised game in Las Vegas. And, I think they shot 24% combined. It still tells you that there's talent, but it takes time to develop it. And also I think, Scott, the mental part of it is half the battle or more, probably 90%. Whatever the adage is, everyone's got athletic talent, but how tough are you upstairs and how can you adjust? And I just thought the Jazz group had made some progress, and they played well, 3-0. They play tonight, coming around up in an hour and a half or so against Charlotte. So I'm excited to see how that group transitions, into Vegas, and how they play and really in front of a big crowd. but also happy to see, that Jazz Nation came to the Huntsman Center and they filled that place up. I mean, I love the energy. Summer League's fun. It shows you how much the fans of Utah, love the Jazz and how much they enjoy Summer League.
Yeah, of course, the Summer League was played at the Huntsman Center with the makeover of the Delta Center. How much involvement and how much awareness do you have of some of the changes? I know I got to see a little bit of kind of what they're attempting to do. It sounds incredible. Where is that, and what do you know about all that?
Well, we had Jazz president Jim Olson on the broadcast and some video, which I had not seen prior, Scott. This is major. I got to go back, and I'm thinking that Larry Miller has to be pleased with the guts of that building,
right,
that was built so many years ago, but it's taken on some new transitions and facelifts, and they're able to continue to use it. They're obviously trying to improve viewing, two-goal viewing for the Mammoth and the hockey team, and it'll also benefit Jazz fans as well. I don't know much more than it's a 3-year process, but they'll be finished with phase 1 by the time hockey and the Jazz kick into gear for preseason in late September, early October. It's an incredible undertaking, but they've got a lot of guys and a workforce out there, making it happen, and it's a lot of concrete. That's being chewed away and then relayed in a different configuration. But the video, if you get a chance, I saw something on either the Jazz website or on Twitter yesterday, and it's amazing what they're actually doing, and the process it takes. Going to stop, let the season progress with hockey and basketball next summer, step 2. Then this third summer they'll complete it, and it should be quite a totally new looking Delta Center. The outside has a few new looks as well, but the inside is really a big facelift.
So the Jazz, they had their tanking year. And they've made the announcement or statement that they're going to be competitive. They're not going to go through that process again this year. But one of the things, as I've kind of been watching all of this and watching Ace Bailey being drafted by the Jazz, and I just get this sense that like Ryan Smith is really committed to making this franchise relevant on a national stage and really competing for championships. And I think to some extent, I think he's doing the same thing at BYU with his involvement there. What's your sense of Ryan Smith and where he is with this Jazz organization and kind of his commitment to bringing it maybe to a different level than it's seen, and that is winning a championship?
Well, he's competitive. There's no doubt. And to take and buy a franchise, Scott, I can't even imagine the stress of that in the world we're living in today. What the Lakers go for $10 billion, and the Celtics went for over $6 billion not that long ago. I mean, that's billions of dollars, man. So yeah, it's no joke. I think with the Olympics coming in 34 and the renovation of Delta Center and him obviously and Ashley buying the Mammoth, the hockey club, now the Mammoth, and they're going to do some things downtown around the arena, the renovation of downtown. I mean, it's a centerpiece. And I think basically he understands the importance. If you're going to dive in that deep and the city's going to come along with you, and the money that comes from the taxpayers, however that's fueled, it's a huge commitment. And to be, I think, viable, you have to have winners, and so you have to get back into the playoffs. I think they rolled the dice and just came up short with Cooper Flagg. The odds weren't with them. Dallas somehow at 1.8% got Cooper Flagg, and the Jazz dropped to 5%. Now look, Ace Bailey may turn out to be, an all-star for years. You don't know that, but the building process is there, and I think he also stepped up his game, bringing in Austin Ainge, that he knew in Boston, and wanting to push it along. I think that's a good thought. It is. I think that the process is being pushed along a little faster than maybe they thought, and you just have to get growth from this young core of Filipowski and Walker, and you've got to see what Cody Williams is about. You've got to let Ace Bailey breathe and grow, and Walter Clayton Jr., who's a national champion at Florida. I mean, there's some pretty interesting storylines, and this could be a little faster than maybe some people thought. We'll see. This is, when you talk about the Jazz in last year's 17 wins, and they do want to move along and not tank. I think they may not win, but they're going to develop. They may surprise some people too, and that's kind of the fun part about it. I think they're better than 17-win season. I mean, you got to play your players, and I think the Jazz have made that very clear that they're going to move forward with putting, the quality guys on the floor, but also it's that growth period. So how good are they? What lessons do they learn, and do they win 25, or do they basically maybe flirt with a play-in? You don't know. That's why you play them, and I'm kind of excited to see, how quickly this team can actually make a move. And a couple of guys, they've got Nurkic and Anderson, a couple of vets. I don't know how they fit, but you know what? That second unit could be pretty good, letting the young guys, learn and then come in and see what the vets can do. And also Lauri Markkanen, what his future will be too, Scott. I think that's a big one, a big storyline as well.
Yeah, it's compelling. It's worth watching. It's worth seeing where it goes and how it develops. So really excited about it. Really appreciate your time, Bowler. Always fun to chat with you, and especially your thoughts on Frank today. And my condolences to you with that relationship. And have a great weekend. Hope you end up in Wendover, and hope we get a chat soon.
All right, Scotty, appreciate you, man.
Yep. All right, there you have it. Craig Bolerjack, of course, he's the voice of the Utah Jazz. There's, as I was talking to him about Frank Layden, there probably going to be a day when people have conversations. He's a well-respected voice, and he's a big part of the Utah Jazz. Craig Bolerjack is, and I'm sure people, when he retires and does his thing, people will tip their hat to him, because he's a special guy. So love listening to him broadcast games, and he just has that. There's a voice. It's a recognizable voice. So, all right, let's take a break. We come back. What do we got going on here? We got Easton Fulster with the Utah Golf Association is coming up, along with so much more, here on The Drive with Spence Checketts on ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is The Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Spence today and yesterday. So it's fun to be here, fun to be a part of the show. Porter does an amazing job, makes my job easy, and of course it's fun to fill in for Spence on occasion. And we always love to talk about sports. We always love to talk about all sports. It's Friday. It's a fun Friday. It's a football Friday, but right now it's a golf Friday. So, by the way, most people who are football players are golfers. Did you know that? That's a proven fact. It's backed by science and research. So football players love golf. Joining us right now is Easton Fulster. He's the executive director for the Utah Golf Association. This segment, of course, is brought to you by Uinta Golf. Celebrate Uinta Golf's best golf sale this week only at 5 Utah Uinta Golf locations and at worldwidegolfshops.com. Get there. Anyways, Easton, how are you? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Friday.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Okay, I got some information. I want to see if you can verify this for me, because if anyone's going to know this, it will be you. The Utah State Am is going on right now. That's correct, right?
Yes, that is correct. It's been a big week for us. I'm up here currently, in fact, and so we're on to the semifinals currently. We're going to find out who's in the finals tomorrow. So yeah, it's been a fun week.
Now, my question is: this is the longest running golf event in the world? Is it world or United States? Or I heard some pretty
in the world. Yeah, in the world, that's exactly right. It's the longest continuously held golf tournament. So I think, the world wars put a pause on a lot of golf tournaments worldwide, but Utah, we trucked along during those times, and this is our 127th rendition of this championship. So we're very proud of that moniker. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes. And what makes it so great? Like why is this an event people want to be a part of, aside from the longevity of it, but tell me about amateur golf in the state of Utah.
Yeah, of course. Well, we've touched on the first point, the history of the event, dating back 127 years. I mean, that's certainly a rich history. And so, any player that gets not only the opportunity just to qualify, I mean, we have over 900 players sign up statewide to compete, to try to qualify for the State Am. And so it's a very large field. It's far-reaching. And then, when you think about the 900 players, through different qualifying and regional sites, to get to championship week, we whittle it down to 156 qualify. Then it goes into brackets of 64, similar to March Madness. And it's just kind of match play from then on. And so we whittle it down all the way from 900-plus players down to one champion, which we will identify tomorrow. And that one champion, they are currently playing their 8th round of golf, that started on Monday. They're on their 8th round of golf. It's Friday. To win it all, they're going to play 10 rounds of golf. So it is a grueling test, and there is no doubt that if you win the Utah State Amateur, you are one of the top amateurs in the state.
Definitely. Wow. Sounds like so much fun, and people need to get out. And of course, the championship is tomorrow, but it's been going on. Golf in Utah is certainly getting quite elevated, for the lack of a pun there. But you got a couple of professional events now, some great golf courses. You have. Tell me about what makes Utah golf so great, and why is this becoming more and more popular and a destination kind of thing for the golf world?
Yeah, great question. And before I get into the destination piece, I think Utah golf has a certain culture that's really individual to this state, and I think it's really special. Most of our golf courses are actually public golf facilities. In fact, 85% of them are public golf facilities. That's incredibly rare. When you go out to the East Coast, it's really the opposite. A lot of golf is not as accessible. It's private, and it's difficult to get on to golf courses and play, but that's not the case in Utah. I mean, if you want to play golf, the public access is there. The pricing is relatively affordable in Utah when you compare it to, the East Coast and West Coast. So I would say that's what makes golf special in Utah, and I think that also is breeding, some of the success and the growth that we're seeing. But you did touch on destination and destination golf, which I really think is growing in the last few years. We've had a number of high-end, private clubs and resort-style courses, Black Desert that you mentioned that's hosting now a couple of tour events, PGA Tour and LPGA Tour. So golf now, Utah is getting put on the map, not only, for our local residents, but also for those that are wanting to come and visit the state and play kind of that destination-style golf. We're putting ourselves on the map. It's a really exciting time.
You mentioned municipal golf courses. Of course, I grew up in the great community of Springville in Utah County, and we had one of the best municipal golf courses in the state in Hobble Creek. As a young boy, that's where I learned how to play golf, and went, it's like all summer, every day you're at the golf course, doing something. And what a great golf course to be a part of. And then later on in my life, when I was living in Springville, and Billy Casper was my neighbor, and Billy Casper said, "Hey, I can't get anyone to play golf with me." And I said, "You're pulling my leg." And he said, "No, really." He says, "No one to play golf." I go, "I'll play golf with you." And he says, "You will?" I said, "Of course I will." So he started booking teams. Think about this. He started booking tee times for the two of us at Hobble Creek. And it was the funniest thing in the world, and we'd probably go, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year. And we did this for 2 or 3 years, and just had a great time playing golf with Billy Casper at a municipal golf course in Utah, So I really get your whole comment about the greatness of municipal golf courses here. And there's just some wonderful golf courses all across the state that are very accessible to people. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, of course, well said. I mean, that's a unique experience to get to play with a Masters champion at your local club. In fact, you may or may not know this, but I'm from Springville myself,
yes.
Springville High School alumni as well. So
Mighty Red Devils.
Yep, that's right. That's right. I can appreciate your affinity towards Hobble Creek. I mean, it is one of the best municipal golf courses you'll ever find. So certainly appreciate your sentiment towards one of our best public venues in the state.
In fact, my son works there right now. He's
oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's in school to be a pilot, and he has to have a part-time job. So he of course goes to Hobble Creek. I think it's so he can play golf. I'm not sure. I don't know how much work he gets done. I'm not complaining because he slides me on the course with him kind of at the right time, and so it's a good deal. But
there you go.
Hobble Creek's wonderful. Okay, I got to ask you, the Open Championship is coming up here. They're playing the Scottish Open right now. The Open Championship is coming up soon, and Harrison Inglis, I don't know if you saw this, but his caddy's not allowed to, he couldn't get entry into the United Kingdom because he has a felony, and they weren't aware of this. So you have to get a visa, and so they're trying really hard to get his visa, but he's not able to have his caddy, at least for the Scottish Open, and they're hoping that they can get him through. He apparently a long time ago, 20 plus years ago, his caddy was convicted of taking drugs into the United States or somewhere, and so he got a felony. But he's kind of turned his life around, and he did it through golf. And they have all these people petitioning for his entry. How hard is it to play golf at a high level without your caddy?
Yeah, and I work in golf. You might be asking the wrong person on that because I'm certainly not an accomplished or competitive golfer. But I do think that if you asked, a competitive player that you certainly at that level of playing on tour, I mean, it's a team. A lot of times I always appreciate when you'll hear a tour player use kind of the pronoun we. They view their caddy as part of the team, and obviously missing a key teammate, and you could learn to speak to each other and how the other person communicates. And we've had caddies out at the State Am all week, and it's important. Caddies are incredibly important. So I would imagine you're telling me this story. I haven't heard this story yet. I'll have to go read about it, but I would imagine that's probably stressful for the player to try to scramble to find a replacement. But at the end of the day, the player's got to hit the shots. So I'll be interesting to follow along on that. I hadn't heard that.
How many of the players at the State Am have caddies?
Oh, geez. Right now I'd estimate, I would say the majority, probably 75%.
Oh, wow.
Bring out a caddy.
Okay.
And from the quarterfinals on, so we let the players ride all the way up until the quarterfinal matches, which started this morning. then from the quarterfinals on, we require that, similar to the tour, that the players walk. And so when you're walking, a caddy's a big advantage on, carrying the bag and keeps their feet light. So.
All right, good stuff. Really appreciate your time, Easton, and it sounds awesome. The State Am will have to fall and see who actually ends up winning. So appreciate it, and have a great weekend, and best of luck to you.
You too. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
All right. There you have it. Easton Folster, he's the executive director of the Utah Golf Association. And, of course, this whole segment is brought to you by Uinta Golf. I believe we have a leaderboard update that Porter's going to indulge us with.
Yeah, Scotty. Cool story, by the way. A Masters champ in Springville. Funny, you and I are...
It was just funny because I thought he was joking with. We were like neighbors, and I've known Billy for a long time and went to high school, grew up with several of his children, and I know Bobby well and all of them, and he just brought it up, and I think he wanted to just play golf with me. That's what I really think it was, and so anyways, we had it was just an incredible time. Some of the conversation we had, priceless. I mean, I wish I had them recorded because they were so good.
Yeah, I used to work for Marco Mira.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Park City resident now.
Oh, he is. Is he really?
I watched his dogs mostly, but also, he's a big snowmobiler and fly fisherman, and whatnot. So, been on the course with him. So, you and I have both played around with a guy with a green jacket.
Yes, cool. Marco Mira actually. So when he lived in Orlando, there, he was Tiger's buddy, and we lived on this chain of lakes, and we would take people for drives, through the chain, and so we'd show them where all the famous people live. So we drive. There's Tiger's house, and then you go down. There's Marco Mira's house. So we followed all these people, and it was kind of fun. So.
How did you get to know Mark Marketo?
I did. I would have loved to have. He just seems like a great guy, and I've never
very unassuming, super nice.
Yeah, I would love to. There seems to be a lot of mutual interest in life and certain things there, but yeah, I'd love to meet Marco Mira. Make it happen for me, will you, Porter?
There you go. I'll introduce you.
Yeah,
but scoreboard update for you. You mentioned the Open coming up in a few weeks. Well, it's the Scottish Open this week, and we'll just give you the top 10 or so. Yeah. Jake Knapp, Sepp Straka. You got Matty Schmid, Keith Mitchell, Nick Taylor, and Rory McIlroy. All of those guys tied for 6th place. They are 7 under. At 8 under, a 3-way tie. Marco Pang, Ludwig Aberg, Matt Fitzpatrick, all at 8 under, tied for 3rd. And then in 2nd, it's Harry Hall at 9 under, and 11 under. Solo leader going into the weekend at the Genesis Scottish Open is the American Chris Gotterup. Bogey-free on this Friday, 9 birdies. He shot a 61 at the Renaissance Club. Wow. So a really, really good day for him. And he heads into the weekend leading the PGA Tour. And, of course, brought to you by Uinta Golf, worldwidegolfshops.com.
All right, thank you so much, Porter. Coming up around the corner, I believe we have Keto's Brewing. They're going to be in studio. We're going to talk beer. I've never had a beer in my life, never tasted alcohol, so I'm going to get an education.
I'll grab one.
I think Porter's going to drink my portion, so this will be fun. This will be a fun conversation. That's coming up here on The Drive with Spence Checketts, ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. It is July. It's right in the thick of July here. This is the Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Of course, we're Utah's #1 sports talk. I'm not Spence Checketts. I know it's shocking to people. I'm filling in for Spence today and yesterday. I do a show earlier in the day here on ESPN 792.1 FM called The Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. It's at 10 to 11. So he squeezed me in right between Dan Patrick and OC. I'm the one that gets everyone kind of going in the day. Like I'm the warm-up act. You know, I get to go on tour with all these great names and personalities, and I take the stage first, so I get you warmed up.
You're the opener? The former NFL QB is the opener?
Yeah, the former NFL QB is the opener. Okay. Of all this madness that happens here on ESPN every day. So, and I'm happy to do it. You know, I'm a team player. I'll do my job. I'll do my part. Anyways.
You're the leadoff guy. Isn't that a better term?
I'm the leadoff guy. Yeah. Okay. I'm the stage setter. I'm the pacer. Like I'm that important person. Didn't they have like one of those guys like on the Tour de France? I was in France, by the way, a week. Not that I'm name dropping or anything like that.
Did you ride your bike?
No. I rode the subway, and I rode a lot of Ubers. And some trains are good, too. Well, trains and subways are kind of the same thing.
Sounds like a fun time, though.
I did take the Eurostar.
What's that?
Well, it's a fast train. I took it from London, so we went we shot underneath the English Channel going about 300 miles an hour.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's even a better time, I guess, if you're drinking, right? And that's yes, most things are. I wouldn't know. So I had a slight disclaimer here. I don't know if they tell you this. I am a non-alcoholic. I've never had a drink in my entire life.
Should we peer pressure Scott?
No, it won't happen. I'm too old. I'm too old now to be peer pressured. They love me, by the way. So I played in the NFL, and at first they made fun of me because I didn't drink, and then they were like, "Wait a minute, designated driver." So I was the designated driver. Joining us right now is Jamie Aslett. She's the general manager at Keto's Brewing. You're Utah's largest brewer, and you are celebrating your 8th anniversary in business. You also have recently won the 2025 North American Brewers Association competition. You won 2 gold medals and a bronze.
Correct.
So we have award-winning beer in the studio right now.
Exactly.
That's the way it is. Okay, so talk to us. I'm curious about, because when I was growing up, right, it was like the big companies. Like nobody had their own little special brewery. Now everyone kind of has their own thing now. What got you guys into this, and what's actually brought you to so much success and adoration here in the state of Utah?
The owner makes the joke all the time that he had a hobby and he wanted to turn it into a job, so he just ruined a hobby. So he created a brewery, and it has just become this gigantic thing. The brew staff that we have are just incredible, and they're do above and beyond, and they make some great things.
So tell me a little bit. Okay, let's talk about the beer. Like, what do we got here? Tell me a little bit about some of the beer you've brought, and you have. I believe Porter is going to be our taste tester. He's much more qualified than I am at this, because like if I took it, I'd probably throw up or something. It wouldn't be good.
Yeah, I've got the Fonio Fusion.
Fonio Fusion. What is this?
Yeah, tell us about this.
Fonio is a grain in itself. It is naturally gluten-free, although this beer is not gluten-free, but it is drought-resistant. You don't need pesticides. It's an ancient grain. It has a very tropical note on its own, which Porter will taste here in the beer. All of that comes from the grain itself. Yes.
Love it. All right, what do we got here? Talk to us about your beer experience. So this grain is ancient? Mm-hmm. Is it grown here locally, or is it?
No, it comes out of West Africa.
Interesting.
So you import it from Africa. How do you find these grains? Is this something like, is there a science behind this? Because you do mention that you have beer that actually is gluten-free. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean? How does that, are there a lot of people who can't drink beer because it has gluten?
Correct.
What does that mean?
A lot of breweries have to make a beer, and they put an enzyme in to pull the gluten out. So it may not necessarily be 100% gluten-free, but it also gives it a wet cardboardy taste. Whereas we are able to use brown rice, millet, and sorghum to make a gluten-free beer start to finish that tastes more like a beer.
So is the grain, is that the important part of, like, or does that just change the flavor of the beer? What?
So why this grain is important is we are the second brewery in world history to make a beer 100% out of the Fonio grain. So this particular beer is a rye beer, so it's 50% fonio and 50% barley.
And you're the second in the world?
To make one fully 100% out of fonio.
Okay, and so are you the only one in Utah then?
Yes.
So where's the other brewery? Is it
in Copenhagen?
Oh, that's in the other part of the world.
Yes.
So you got to fly a long way if you're going to get the good grain then.
Yes.
Is this like a top seller for you? What did you win the awards for? What beers actually won? Was it just beer that you won the award for?
Our blonde has won 4 gold medals in the last 12 months. The coffee cream has won medals over the years, and it won bronze. And we won a gold for the Suki Sake rice lager. And Suki Sake is actually a local company that produces sake. So we paired up with her to make a sake rice lager.
So you've infused beer in other. Wow. That's interesting.
This has lychee in it. This beer.
It's the flavoring.
Oh,
that's the fonio flavor.
Okay. Wow.
So all the fruit notes you're tasting are from the grain itself.
All right, what other beers do you have?
It's phenomenal, by the way.
You have is there other tasters that we're going to have here, or is that the taste of the day?
That's the one today.
That's the one of the day.
We make over 50 different beers. I have 29 taps, but this is all I brought to taste test today.
All right, there's also amazing food trucks around the brewery. Tell me about those.
Yes, we usually have taco carts on Friday and Saturday. Tomorrow we do have a art market, so Dang Brothers Pizza will be on site in our food truck tomorrow.
Dang Brothers.
Mm-hmm. They have a fire truck with a wood-fired pizza oven in it.
Oh, nice. What a great hobby. I mean, this is like the coolest stuff in the world. Serious. I'm trying to think of what hobby could I actually use of mine and turn it into something good. I don't know. I have an idea for a taco. I don't want to say it on the air because someone will steal my idea. It's really it's amazing.
Let's hear it. Come on.
No, I can't do it. This I'm telling you, it's that.
Is it a Doritos?
No,
is it a Dorito shell?
No. I make these they're unbelievable.
Well, we also do make non-alcoholic hop water, so it's sparkling water that tastes like hops. So it's kind of like a beer, but it's non-alcoholic sparkling water with some flavor.
Is that where I need to go? Start out with the non-alcoholic stuff.
I should have brought you a creamsicle.
We should
a creamsicle.
Can we get Scott making tacos at your next, maybe the anniversary dinner or something?
Yeah, hell yeah, come over.
I will do. No, seriously, it'll change your life, and you don't even have to be drunk to like my tacos or be drinking beer. They're okay.
So they're just gonna get better as I keep drinking.
Oh, they'll be unbelievable. They'll be the best you ever had. If you have a couple of beers, it'll be earth shattering.
We'll pair it with the cerveza.
I love it. All right. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. Yes, so go check them out, Keto Brewing. They are the biggest brewer in the state of Utah, and they are award-winning, and they have beers for gluten issues and also some grains that you can only get 2 places in the world, so you want to check them out. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back, so much more here on the show. I believe we got a guy named Andy Larson. He talks about the Jazz and other things, so we'll talk to him. And keep this show rolling and have a good time on Friday. This is The Drive with Spence Checketts, ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is The Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Of course, we're proud to be a part of the Utah ESPN radio network. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Spence. Spence is he's marrying people. That's what he's up to right now. He's out there. He's making sure that they do their vows correctly. I hope they say I do. I hope someone doesn't say I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know why I'm here. What are we doing here? So I'm sure it'll go well for him. So I'm happy to fill in for Spence, and we're having a good time here. Of course, we just had the folks from Keto's Brewery. Fascinating stuff. So I may have to unveil my secret. Did I mention it on the air? Well,
yeah, you mentioned it, and now you have to tell us about your
right?
secret taco.
I can't get into the details because the devil is in the details, and that's the most important part of.
Is that your retirement plan?
No, that's just my fun plan. It's just something I do on a Thursday, But all the other stuff we're gonna no. I'm gonna be on the radio. That's my retirement plan. I'm gonna sit and talk on the radio until you all kick me off. Anyways. Joining the program right now is none other than Andy Larson. Of course, he's with the Salt Lake Tribune, covers the Jazz, the Utah Mammoth. Is it just the Mammoth or is it the Utah Mammoth? I'm not sure. Maybe Andy can straighten that out for us and all other great things in the world of sports. Welcome to the program, Andy Larson. How are you doing?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
Are you in Las Vegas?
I am. Yeah. Jazz's Summer League game starts here in about 51 minutes. So,
exactly 51 minutes, or just you guessing there?
Well, it's scheduled for 51 minutes from now, but then if this game before it takes a little bit longer than that, then the Jazz's game would be delayed. But anyway, around 51 minutes, we'll call it.
Okay, I'm following you there. So is it the Mammoth or is it the Utah Mammoth? I don't know these days.
I mean, it's kind of like with the Jazz. If you just want to use the shorter, you could just say the Mammoth, and people know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to use the full government name, if you will, then yeah, it's the Utah Mammoth.
Okay, so it's one of those things like the really cool entertainers, like they have just one name, like Cher,
right?
Like it's Mammoth Jazz, like we're the cool kids now, so we just go by one name and everyone knows who we are, right?
We were talking about that on Press Row the other day with Ace Bailey, right? Like if Ace
Right.
Bailey becomes one of the stars of the league, people could just call him Ace, and everyone knows who you're talking about.
Hey, Ace, got any more of that gum? You know where that's from, right? Do you know where that's from?
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No, what's it from?
That sounds like a 1980s reference.
So Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
1991.
Yes, you wouldn't know what.
I'm a big Ace Ventura guy, so
yeah. So Ace I'm laughing like I'm smoking. Do you hear my voice? I don't smoke, at least not today. Anyways, I've cut it down to 2 packs a day. No, it's Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and of course Dan Marino was in that movie. And there's a famous scene at the end of the movie, and Dan Marino asks Ace if he's got any more of that gum. And you have to understand, and you have to watch it. Andy, go watch Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and then you're going to laugh really hard at this Ace reference. But no, I've been calling him Ace. I haven't even called him. In fact, I didn't even know his last name was Bailey. I just thought it was Ace. So I'm glad that you've corrected me on that situation. You're in Los. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I wonder, if he had his full name is Arias, right? And that's and then Ace is his nickname, but Arias, another terrific basketball name.
Yes, I kind of like that one better. Arias. Maybe we'll call him. And by the way, speaking of names, is your name Andrew?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's your full name. What's the B?
It's Bryce.
Andrew Bryce Larson.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I like it. All right. Can I call you Andrew from now on? Just Andrew?
You can call me anything. Porter, or a lot of people in the market call me just Blarson now because what's in the Twitter handle. But I will respond to anything. If you call me Andrew, the only person who does that is my mom. But I responded maybe more quickly to it.
Yes. I like the. Andy's good too, though. Did you write it on the bottom of your shoe? Do you know what that references to?
Yes, that one's Toy Story. I got you there.
Okay. Whew. All right, good. All right, now we got our references down. We got our name and preference down. Now let's get down to business here. You're in Las Vegas. The Jazz are going to be there for a week. It seems like a lot of fun. A lot of great names, a lot of great matchups are going to happen for really all the teams at the Summer League. What's kind of your take on the Summer League just in general? How much value is it, especially for a team like the Jazz? What do they get out of it? What's kind of a good Summer League, I guess, for the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a developmental milestone, right? Like, it gives these guys a point, kind of a showcase for what they've been working on in the last couple of months, and then gives them a point of reference for what they continue to need to work on for the next couple of months until training camp starts, right? So, we've seen Keontae George, Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Cody Williams, Taylor Henderson, even all these guys kind of working out together at the Zions Bank Basketball Center, where the Jazz's practice facility. But they're clearly, I think, have stronger than they were at the end of last season. And then it's like, okay, how do you actually translate that strength into getting better at basketball? And we've seen, kind of ups and downs there in the first 3 games so far. I think there is just kind of like a lot of value for those guys, for the under contract guys for the Jazz to just show off if they have developed their skills, or, in some cases, maybe they haven't. And then for the rest of the guys on the roster, it's about a chance to stick. It's about a chance to make an impression. It's about a chance to maybe get that overseas contract, or to get a G League bonus amount that means you can, you're making, instead of $50,000, you're making $200,000 or whatever, right? So as a result, it becomes a big deal, and everyone's kind of out for themselves a little bit and trying to show off what they can do and what they can bring to an NBA team. And so it actually becomes pretty dramatic, I think. And that doesn't mean the quality of the basketball is great. I mean, it's not, to some extent, these guys are just kind of like thrown together with only a few days of practice time. But it is really meaningful, I think, for nearly everyone on the court.
I want to get into the new players here in just a minute, the ones that just got drafted, 2 first-round draft choices, and kind of your thoughts on them. But before I do, you mentioned the players have made strides. They've gotten bigger, they've gotten stronger. You've seen the improvement. I know it's only 3 games, but who's maybe stood out to you the most as maybe making the biggest improvement for these young 1 to 3 year players for the Jazz playing in the Summer League?
That's a good question. I thought Cody Williams was really good in the first 2 games and then struggled a lot in Game 3 to make an impact. And you want to see his aggression continue to be there on a night-to-night basis rather than kind of on and off. I think the most impressive one of the young guys was Bryce Sensabaugh, right? Like, he showed that he was too good for Summer League. He made more than half of his threes, got downhill to the rim, got to the free throw line, and I thought was pretty decent on the defensive end, which has always been kind of the traditional concern with him. So he kind of graduated and no longer is going to be playing in Vegas, and that's fine. That's a good thing. Like Walker Kessler did the same thing last year with the Jazz's Summer League team, only played in Utah, and then, look, he can credibly ask for like $100 million in his next contract extension because of the season he had last year. So this, it's a good sign when players are too good for Summer League, and I think that was Bryce Sensabaugh. Yeah,
it's an interesting take, and because it was a question I was going to ask you, is that do the players see the value in this and actually playing? You mentioned that he clearly stood out on the team. Bryce Sensabaugh did in the games in Salt Lake. Are the players humble enough to say, hey, this is a great opportunity for me? I'm not going to sit this out. I'm going to go, and I'm not going to begrudgingly be there. I'm going to go make it worth my value. Do the players value that and see that?
Depends who it is, frankly. Like, I think, we talked to Bryce about it, and he had the option to say, no, I don't want to play. And he said, hey, but I do want to show off what I've done, and I want to show off that I, can be the caliber of player that I think that I am, and he succeeded in that. There are other Jazz players in the past and even recently who have said, no, my 3rd year, I don't think I should be playing in this. And that's their prerogative. They can say no. So, I think it totally depends, and because they do think that they're above the level, or they're worried about getting injured, or whatever, right? And so I think it depends on the guy and kind of their level of humility, their level of do they think they need the work, or do they want the work, and it totally depends on who the player is, and a little bit too on who's advising them on the agent side too.
Moving on to the new draft picks, what's your kind of view of Ace in his first few games with the Jazz in the summer league?
Yeah, it's a bummer because he didn't play in the Jazz's last game in Utah and is not playing today. He's got a hip flexor issue, and so need to find out more about that to understand, if he's going to be playing in the summer league in the next couple of days. Or if they're kind of shutting him down. Just have to find out more information. But in the 2 games he did play, I thought he showed a lot of what we knew about him, as a draft prospect, where he's athletic as all get out. He can jump out of the gym and uses that in a number of really useful ways. He can get to his own shot whenever he wants, and yet there are still kind of efficiency concerns because he takes a lot of hard shots, and he's not really fully able to get all the way to the rim because he doesn't have that first step quickness or that shake that, the elite players do. He looked a lot better when he was coming off of screens and shooting kind of off the ball or on kickouts rather than when it was, again, something he was trying to create for himself. It was tough. So, I think he's clearly got a long ways to go, but you understand the potential. I think he's kind of a high ceiling, but there is a question on where the floor is with him. And so, he's just 18, right? And one of the youngest players in this draft. And there's so much room to grow for him, but that means that, he didn't dominate his summer league in a way that, like Bryce Sensabaugh did, right? So there's a lot of growth here for him, and I think that's going to be important. And I hope that he does have the opportunity to play in some of the remaining summer league games because I think he could use that experience.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear. Yeah, I was kind of bummed because I was really looking forward to watching him play. So hopefully this isn't a precursor of his rookie year, and that it's probably going to be a struggle anyways. I just imagine with his youth and his game still needing some polishing. But the other rookie first round draft choice, of course, the Jazz jumped up a few spots to get Walker Clayton Jr. Do we just call him Junior? Is that what would be his nickname? Just Junior? How Junior? What do you think of Junior? I really like him, but what did you think of Junior?
Yeah, he's been good. I think he's showing off kind of a more mature game than the other young players are, and that makes sense. He's actually older than Bryce Sensabaugh and older than Isaiah Collier because of his 4 years in college and national championship experience, right? I think that does show on the court where, when he is in control as point guard, the team gets into its sets better. It seems like they have a better understanding of what they're doing. And then he can set up his teammates to get open shots like Ace Bailey. I think we've seen kind of some up and down scoring from him. He's really struggled when he's tried to get to the rim. Frankly, it's just a different level of size and athleticism once you get down in the trees. And so has not figured that out yet for sure. But he shot the ball relatively well from outside. And when I watch him practice, he's already one of the Jazz's best 3-point shooters. So, again, there's something there because he is much older than Ace, at 22, he has to develop more quickly than Ace does. But you understand why the Jazz liked him. You understand why the Warriors and Heat were rumored to be so interested to take him is because, he probably does add something to you right away. I'm going to be watching the defensive end with him. And, in today's game, he's probably, going to be one of the Jazz's leading scorers and, most frequent shot takers and so on. How did he do in that kind of role against the new team against Charlotte today, who's, I think, can be relatively good defensively, and if I'm looking at their summer league roster correctly. So, I think it has been a good but not standout summer league for Walter Clayton so far, and we'll see if that develops over the next week.
So maybe jumping away from summer league a little bit, the Jazz have kind of been a part of some trades and moving some of their veteran players around. What does this roster look like with veteran players when when the season starts, and where do you see them contributing with this team?
I mean, it is one of the worst rosters we've ever seen in the NBA. Like, I don't mean that sounds so hard.
Tell us how you feel, really, Andy.
Look, the Vegas put out their MGM put out their over/under win totals for the season, right? The Jazz are projected to win. Their over/under is 18 games.
Oh.
And that is the lowest over/under for any that MGM has issued for any team in the last decade. The last team that had a lower over/under was the Philadelphia 76ers, the Trust the Process 76ers in 2014. So Jazz fans should be realistic about where the team is and what that means. Now, look, I probably still take the over on that 18, and say, hey, maybe this team can win 22 games or 24 games, and wouldn't that be great? But it's not a good roster. It's really young. It's really they're going to be putting the ball in the hands of guys like Clayton and Isaiah Collier and Keontae, who have not established themselves as big league starting guards yet, and they will struggle, right? They've been the worst defensive team 2 years in a row. It's hard to see where they get better defensively. You hope Kyle Anderson can be useful if kind of hopefully coming off the bench, but the Jazz traded away John Collins and Colin Sexton to get worse and to open up playing time for the young guys. And that's, not a combination that leads to a lot of wins. So I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news here, but it's better to have, I think, realistic expectations going into the season.
Oh man, I was feeling so good about everything, and now you just wrecked my day. Now I don't know that people are unrealistic about where the Jazz are. I think the question is, and it's so fascinating. You look at last year with some of these young players, and in just the short time between when the season was over in early April to now July, and you see improvement. You see that some of these guys are getting better, and I think that's where you have to watch and evaluate and say, maybe they're not at the level they need to be, but if you're seeing growth and you're seeing development, I think you got to feel pretty excited about that. And I'm sure these two rookie first round draft choices today are going to be totally different in a year and 2 and 3 years down the road. So it'll be a fun process. It feels like it's kind of maybe headed in the right direction with the Jazz. We'll see. Who knows? Before I let you go, any thoughts about the Mammoth?
Yeah, I think did some good things with the roster. I think they are kind of on the cusp of playoff contention, right? And whether they are, I don't think they're definitely a playoff team, and I don't think they're a top 4, top 6 in the West team necessarily, but they did definitely get better this season and locked down some of their guys and obviously got more depth. I think, you feel better about, say, the second and third lines than you did last year. I think it's still, they didn't go out and get the Marchand they didn't go out and get the superstar. And that would have been the sign that, hey, they truly want to contend next season. I think it's another year in the upward trajectory, which is really fun and really promising. So, we'll see if they, end up in the playoffs. I think it's, kind of a 50-50 proposition, and I should actually look at the Vegas lines for them as well. But they got better, and they continue to be really kind of smart and structured in their decisions. And I think that's what Bill Armstrong is known for as a general manager is just kind of stacking those good decisions one at a time to do a rebuild in kind of the right way without taking any shortcuts. And I think that's what we saw from the Mammoth this summer.
Well, it'll be fun to watch and, see how our teams progress. Really appreciate your time today and hope you have a great time in Las Vegas. Andrew, remember who you are. Make wise decisions while you're down there in the city of sin. Anyways, thank you so much and have a great weekend.
Thanks so much, Scott.
Hey, Ace, you got any more of that gum? That's such a great line.
I'm glad you did the Ace Ventura quote. At least I got it.
Okay, good.
At least I got it.
I know probably 100% of the people listening out there got it, but we got to work on Andy a little bit. Hey, Ryan from the Dish Pros is joining us right now. What do you got for the folks, Ryan?
Hey, thanks so much, Scott. This is a great opportunity to put some more money back in your bank account. Listen, you're overpaying for your cable, your DirecTV bill. Listen, call us up. I'll set you up with a bigger, faster DVR, the biggest one out there. 2 terabytes of storage, 16 tuners, auto records your locals, auto records your favorite games, and we'll get you set up and get you 3 months of service free right off the bat. Plus, get you Showtime and Paramount Plus free for 4 months and have you installed as early as next day. Now, here's the best part. The price is guaranteed for the next 2 years, and it's going to be at minimum $30 a month cheaper than what you're currently paying. But a lot of times we're seeing $60 all the way $100+ a month. Call us up and take advantage of the deals, get a bigger, better system at a lower price, plus also take a look at the internet options. We really should be called the Internet Pros now because I'll tell you, I have everybody's. I can do internet for everything out there. You name it, even the company you probably would think I would last sell, but I also can sell that internet too. So listen, if you've got an overpriced bill, if you're spending $80-$90 a month for internet, you got to call me because there's lots of stuff out there in the $40-$50 range, and it's just as good, maybe even the same fiber, just paying a bill to somebody else. Call us up, take advantage of the deals. We'll throw in dinner at JCW's, have you installed as early as next day. Call us now, 424-DISH, 801-424-3474.
All right, thank you, Ryan. The Dish Pros will take care of you. I guarantee it. They took care of me. So call the Dish Pros, 801-424-DISH, 801-424-DISH. All right, this is the Drive with Spence Checketts here, ESPN 792.1 FM. We'll take a break, come back. Got some great sound from Big 12 Media Days around the corner. Hey, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the drive. I was going to say it's the down and dirty because we're listening to country music and it just got me in the down and dirty mode. I got so caught up in the country music, I forgot that I was on the radio. So anyways, welcome back. Welcome myself back. This is The Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 791 FM. Of course, Utah's #1 sports talk. And I'm not Spence. I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm here filling in for Spence today. I was here yesterday as well. So we're having a good time. Just moving right along with the show. A lot of fun guests, a lot of fun conversations. Right now, we're going to have listen to old. Well, he's not old. He's a good-looking man, actually. That's the athletic director for the University of Utah, Mark Harlan. Here's what he had to say at Big 12 Media Days.
Good enough to join us here on the home of the Utes, ESPN 700. Mark Harlan. Mark, my first question is, how did you get out of this, sir?
Well, the president and I are just out and about raising a little money for the Utes, and I just could not get there. And especially knowing you guys would be there.
Okay.
About last night and everything. But good to be speaking with you nonetheless.
Yeah, that's fine. If you wanted to avoid us in person, that means we're going to ask you the hard-hitting questions on the phone instead, Mark. What are the interesting things about this conference and the announcement we got today, the partnerships with, like, the WWE and the Friday Night SmackDown cards are going to happen in conjunction with conference football games and things like that. The creativity that comes with trying to close the revenue gaps, and obviously you're out raising money right now. How front of mind does that have to be for the Big 12 right now?
Well, it's one of the great things about being in a conference led by Brett Yormark, right? I mean, we go to meetings, and obviously we're dealing with the structural issues and those type of things around the settlement and everything else, but then we spend just as much, if not more time, and okay, this is the situation that we're in. Let's get creative and think of different ways to raise the revenue profile. So excited that the WWE is expanding their relationship with the Big 12. We're excited to have one of those weekends coming here to Salt Lake surrounding our football weekend. And, it's just the kind of things he brings, whether it's the deal that was announced with PayPal, who's now going to, be the one we were going to work with supporting our student athletes along with the great sponsorship. I mean, those things are regular and in this day and age, very important.
So we just had your head coach, Mark, on the show. Coach Witt stopped by, and I asked him the question about, the economic situation at the University of Utah juxtaposed to some reports about oil money with Texas Tech and other schools who have been able to find ways via the NIL situation to spend a lot of money on talent. And obviously House v. NCAA is settled, so you guys have the 20.5. But away from the ability to pay players now, what can you share with our listenership about the NIL endeavors at the University of Utah to keep up with the Joneses?
Yeah, well, obviously the settlement's a good thing, right? Because it's an understood federal regulation that you have to stay within that, and we're excited to be able to, again, to have a dramatic increase for what football had. You don't retain 2 first-rounders and guys like Smith, Snowden, and others if you don't have capital and great donors involved. It's never enough because there's always someone that's got more. Obviously, Texas Tech with Cody and what he's been doing. When you decide to pay a softball player $1 million. That's terrific. What we've done here is just been very deliberate, working hard with some great people, and excited about the guys we were able to recruit, retain. Coach and I talk all the time. Like I said, it's never enough. That's the kind of coach you want, challenging us as we challenge him. But I'm excited about this team that's returning. I'm excited about the recruiting class he's putting together. But we got to keep growing. Because you're right, outside of NIL, opportunities for our athletes are going to be really important, and that's the structural work that we've changed the way we operate, working with different elements to get our guys everything they can, and excited about our progress.
The settlement, as you mentioned, is understood. The enforcement of how this stuff is going to work is a little bit less understood and a little bit harder to pin down as the NIL Go comes into play and the College Sports Commission gets more power and more enforcement responsibilities and things like that. Are we talking about a gradual rollout of this, or was it kind of like a, hey, now CSC's in charge and they're the ones who are going to come for you if you violate? How do the authorities handle this transition after the settlement, Mark?
That's the key right there. I think that that group is established. They've got their director. They're hiring different folks as we speak.
and now they're just trying to cross all the T's on where are the things that they can enforce immediately. Obviously, like anything, the proof will be in the work that they do. And if we're going to see student athletes promise things and those institutions aren't enforced, then we've done all of this for nothing. And our industry has shown time and time again, we always spend more time looking on workarounds than actually focusing in on how we can kind of move forward together on a level playing field. So the proof will be, will be in who they go after first, second, third, what kind of penalties are there in. They certainly have shared a lot with us, but there's still a lot of questions. Remember, this settlement was just finally decided a month ago. So there's still a lot of work that was done. But then after the settlement, you still have to tie everything up. But, I try to be a very positive person in the way I approach things. But with any coach, my coaches here, coaches that you're talking with at other schools down there, they're not going to believe anything until they see it.
When it comes to just general projections of the revenue, Mark, and how it will be distributed to student athletes, 75% football, 15% men's basketball, 5% women's basketball, leaving 5% left over for the other sports. Obviously, Utah's unique because every situation is different. Can you give us an idea of how it will be split up at the University of Utah?
What you just described is how the penalties on the back payments are going to student athletes that have competed in the last 10 years. I will tell you that roadmap is very similar to what we're doing at Utah. Not every team is getting revenue share because, that's just not the way the system has really been set up, reminding everybody that the settlement was based on those sports that earned revenue, that we're not distributing revenue back to students. So that's been a key thing that we followed. Now, we have added 26 additional scholarships that are being spread out amongst many of our sports. So very few, if they're not getting revenue share, many are getting scholarships, and that's a real excitement for a lot of those sports. So we're settling in. We had a first paychecks roll out last Tuesday when July 1st hit, and it's nice to have it in-house for us to be able to monitor and take care of everything. Very grateful to the Garf family and all the folks that gave so much to the Crimson Collective, but being able to have it in-house now makes it for a little bit smoother process as we move into this next era.
What will happen with the Crimson Collective?
Well, the Crimson Collective is not with us anymore, right? They were the ones that were fundraising. They were the ones that were distributing the multi-millions over the last 3 years to various student athletes. What we have now is we have a corporate board. We have an outside organization called JMI working with the agents of our student athletes to provide opportunities for them in the NIL space, and we're seeing good success there. So we're going to continue to build on the opportunities for the student athletes. I would say 90% of Division I has moved on from their collectives and gone different paths, and that's kind of where we stand at Utah.
Does it feel, Mark, that this has brought any stability at all, or is the ground beneath your feet constantly moving, even regardless of the settlement?
Well, college athletics is always going to be not on cement for sure. I will say with the settlement, with the cap, with NIL Go, our athletes have been submitting on NIL Go since the settlement was decided 3 or 4 weeks ago. The turnaround has been pretty quick. We've had all but a few approved here at Utah. The ones that haven't been approved, we go back and we help the student athlete restructure to make sure it's in that range of compensation. It's working pretty well. But again, going back to the earlier question, things will feel a little bit more secure when compliance is further understood and the penalties associated. Because up until then, people are just going to go over the line until it's proven that they're not able to do so anymore.
Mark, what have your conversations been like with Brett Yormark and your fellow athletic directors about which expanded college football playoff format best serves the Big 12?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations. That's been a hot topic when we were all together in Florida last month. The 5-11 is what we support as a room. Earn it, get in there. I think that's the best way to do it. I do worry about multiple AQs in any conference really starting to tell the public that this isn't a true champion. I understand. I was on the college football playoff committee. I know how much time and effort goes into that. I like the fact that they're changing some of the aspects of that committee, bringing some new data in. I think that'll help it. But I really think, the 5-11 with 11 at large makes a lot of sense. I like the reseeding. We all, completely supported that. I think that was a really smart thing to do as you learn and grow in the new format. But we'll see where it goes. I think it's going to end up at 5-11, with 16 obviously being how many get in. And our goal as a conference is we just got to try to always have multiple teams in there. There's been a lot said about the parity in the conference. I think that's true. I do think the conference will have 2 emerge, 2 or 3, and I think that's what we really need in the long haul.
How much of the friction that is reported between, the Big Ten and the SEC on one side and everybody else on the other side, how much of that is real, and how do you traverse that space?
Yeah, what's real is just the facts. The facts are the kind of revenue that they generate. But you got to give them credit because it's being generated primarily because of the eyeballs and the data that come from their television appearances. And one could say they always get the best windows. That's always been a struggle in the West. TV was turned on to show college football. They have the best windows. So all that's true. I think it's a little overreported and all the friction. I think the commissioners talk and meet more often and solve a lot of issues or work on solving issues. I certainly talk. I don't think there's a 1 week or 2 weeks that don't go by that I don't talk to a Big Ten in the Big Ten or the SEC. I understand. I get into great arguments with some of those ADs in the Big Ten in particular about the AQ, and they just believe their conference is big and they're playing good on good all the time, and they deserve it. We just fundamentally disagree. So, we have to sometimes rise above and look at the good of the game, and that's what I try to remind them too. But it's still collaborative. But at the end of the day, they're separating with how much money they have, and that's going to be an issue. And we just have to continue in the Big 12 to do everything we can to particularly invest in football, obviously keep men's basketball really strong, and work together to do so.
It is Big 12 football media days, and every football media day for the past 4 or 5 years, we've asked the question, is this going to be Kyle Whittingham's last year at the University of Utah? You dealt with the situation in late December and January of a succession plan being made clear for everybody. Do you have any special insight on that timeline?
Well, I think what he answered to you and is what he tells me when we talk about it, right? He's got to feel passionate for it, and he obviously did this last off season. I think I knew early on, and we began meeting, weekly, regularly, if not even more, toward the end of last 4 weeks of the season. And it was clear to me pretty early on that the way the season went, not being able to keep the quarterback healthy was just kind of destroying all of the plans and the work that they had done for the season. And so I knew early on he was most likely going to come back. I really try to give him space. He's earned it. Knowing that everything moves fast in this transfer world of football. But, he's been real clear to me on how he feels about things. And it's good to see, I think, that, with the new guys that have come in, certainly Jason and his relationship and Morgan and his relationship, it's a very healthy situation. So, we'll get to it when we get to it. But, we're excited about, and I know he's really excited, as you saw by sitting down with him, about the year ahead.
All right, there you have it. Mark Harlan talking to the boys at the Big 12 Media Days. I guess Mark was not there. I was kind enough to chime into everything. And, it's fascinating. They've already started to pay players. Like July 1, it's like, boom, here's your money.
No wasting time.
No waste of time. Yeah, and I can imagine that they probably have made promises to folks. Hey, we got some money coming here. We got to make sure we get the settlement done. So I'm sure everyone's excited, and none of the least, which is the university, to be able to make these payments to these players and kind of make good on what they're doing. I think one of the exciting things to hear from all of this is that Mark Harlan and Taylor Randall are out raising money, and that's a good thing. And I think. One of the things that Utah made a serious commitment to when they went into the Pac-12 many years ago is they said they were committing not just to be there, but to be competitive. And I think that still holds the same with going into the Big 12 and kind of this new era of college football. I think they understand the financial side of this, and I'm sure which has always been a concern for me. I mean, I get it. I feel the pain of these boosters and having to fork out some money because that's the only way you're going to get anywhere. And I can imagine it's a hard thing to do. But it's good to hear that Mark said that. And it's always a question to me about how well do you all get along, because clearly the Big Ten and the SEC just think they're better than everyone else. And to Mark's point, they do generate a considerable amount of revenue, more than the other conferences. So, but I like that the Big 12 and Coach Mark Harlan say, look, no, you're just not getting some automatic qualifiers to the whole program here. That's not going to happen. All right, I'll tell you what is going to happen is we're going to go out to Ryan from the Dish Pros, and he's going to tell us all the amazing deals and stuff he has. He's always great at taking care of folks, and you want to listen to what Ryan says because he does what he says, and he makes it great for anyone who needs to watch whatever they're going to watch on television. Ryan, what do you got for the folks?
We do. I just had a customer call in. Just were able to get him set up, got him internet. Also was able to set him up with a TV system. We're talking about over $150 a month in savings, one simple phone call, plus 3 months free of service. Guys, this is the simplest way to upgrade, get a bigger, faster DVR than what you currently have. If you've got that oversized DirecTV or cable bill, guys, guarantee it's going to be $30 a month cheaper. Plus, you're going to get the next 3 months for free. And we also, like I mentioned, we almost should be called the Internet Pros because I have every internet provider available to set you up with. I can basically line up all the options and say these are the prices. Some as low as $19.99 a month. Listen, if you're overpaying for internet, if you're in that $80+ range for internet, please call me. Let me save you money, get you upgraded. You can even use the same fiber that you're currently using and just pay a different provider and pay $30-$40 a month less. It's truly that easy. Call us, 424-DISH. Call today. We'll set you up a dinner at JCW's, 3 months free, Showtime free for 4 months, Paramount Plus free for 4 months. We got you covered. 801-424-DISH. That's 424-3474.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Have a great weekend. And, of course, call the Dish Pros, 801-424-DISH. Coming up around the corner, 5 o'clock hour, we've got none other than Craig Bolerjack and Josh Furlong. You don't want to miss it. Great stuff. This is The Drive with Spence Checketts, ESPN 792.1 FM. Alrighty. Hey, welcome back. It is The Drive. Spence Checketts here. That's not me, but that's his show. I'm Scott Mitchell. This is ESPN 791 FM. Been a great show today. Lots and lots of fun. Fabulous Friday. So much to talk about, and it's all been great. Thank you so much for tuning in. And, of course, if you missed any portion of the show, you can just go to the old podcast versions of everything and get it all, as you always can. So wherever you get your podcast, go to ESPN 700 Sports app or ESPN700sports.com, and you can find this stuff. So we don't want you to miss any of it. We want to make it easy for you. Thank you so much, Porter. Really enjoyed the last couple of days and look forward to the weekend. Great show. Of course, next week you got a fun show coming up. What do you got on Monday?
Yeah, Spence will be back in the air chair on a Monday, Scott Mitchell. Of course, you're going to be there, 10 a.m.? Bright and early.
I'll be there 10 a.m. I'll actually be there at 11 as well, so I'm filling in for OC Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm the filler-inner.
Spence will be back on a Monday. Of course, I'll be back behind the glass. Tony Jones will join the program. Richard Smitty Smith will join the program. And since it'll be the first day, Spence will be back on air since the passing of one Frank Layden. That's going to be kind of the Monday vibe we're going to be remembering. Frank was a big part of our show. Not only, of course, Jazz community, but the Drive. We welcomed Frank in studio a lot. He was really close with Richard Smith. This show has known Frank Layden in its entirety. The Drive, we had him on the first year, and it was kind of a regular thing to chat with that guy in studio. So we're going to remember Frank Layden, maybe play back some stuff, some of his best moments, including him singing on air, talking trash on the current president of the United. This is a funny one, Scott. He apparently wiped the floor with a former president in a basketball game. He wasn't getting political. No, Frank just wanted to let us know that prep basketball in like 1960s New York, he was kicking butt. So we'll remember Frank Layden and then get on with the week.
Sounds like a great show and a great week. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you, Porter. This has been The Drive with Spence Checketts here on ESPN 791 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell. Have a great weekend. Until then, we'll see you then.